The annals of history are filled with the stories of great kings, warriors, and leaders who conquered lands, waged wars, and ruled their countries with unwavering authority. Today, we delve into the story of one man who epitomized all these roles: ruler, fighter, leader, and military mastermind. From waging wars to conquering vast territories and amassing the largest empire of his time, Genghis Khan's rule spanned from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea, marking his reign with an iron fist over all his people. Over 25 years, he achieved feats that have echoed through the centuries. Our story begins on the Mongolian steppes, a vast expanse stretching from Siberia to modern-day Mongolia. In this harsh and unforgiving land, power was the ultimate currency, and the strong ruled with might. Among the powerful chieftains of the time was Yesugji of the Borjigin clan. Though already married, Yesugji kidnapped a young woman named Hulan during a raid from the Merkit tribe. Yesugji married Hulan, and soon they had a son. Born holding a blood clot, a sign of future greatness, this child was named Temüjin, meaning blacksmith in Mongolian, symbolizing strength and power. Contrary to the prophecy, young Temüjin was neither fierce nor powerful. He was a weak and timid child bullied by his elder half-brothers. Watching his weakness, even his father loathed him. As Temüjin turned 8, the parents decided to betroth him. These days, marriage matches were made to increase one's power and develop familial ties to secure loyalties among tribes. Temüjin was betrothed to a girl named Bort, the daughter of the chief of the rival clan, the Tartars. After leaving Temüjin to serve Bort's family, Yesugji returned to his tribe. On his journey back, he was recognized by a group of warriors whose comrade he had killed years earlier. One of these men sought revenge and poisoned Yesugji's food. The poison took 3 days to claim his life, and Yesugji died shortly after arriving home. As the powerful chieftain was now dead, a rival clan Taichwood claimed leadership and left Yesugji's family behind. It was a brutal custom of the time. A clan will only follow a leader who asserts his authority through power, and when the leader is dead, his weak family is left alone to fend for themselves. The harsh weather of the steppe is often ruthless for the weak and young children, and it is, in itself, a death sentence. But instead of dying in the tough weather, the young boys learned to endure. They survived off of wild berries, learned to hunt small rats and rabbits, and feed their family. The duty of feeding the family mainly lay on the eldest brother, but Temüjin's eldest brother was selfish and liked to hoard food for himself while his family starved. To assert his dominance, he also stole the food Temüjin hunted. Annoyed and wronged, Temüjin killed his older brother with the help of his other brother Belgütay. Killing the oldest brother meant that now Temüjin was the head of the family. It not only established his dominance over his family, but was also a glimpse of his ruthless, unforgiving nature towards his enemies. Slowly, the weak boy was now transforming into a skilled hunter and a fearsome fighter at the age of 14. He was gaining popularity among his clan, and it was at this point that the Taichwood sensed danger. They had stolen Temüjin's birthright by claiming leadership over his father's clan, and they feared retaliation. To nip the evil in the bud, they attacked Temüjin's camp and took him prisoner. Believing that enslaving someone weak meant safety, the Taichwoods thought they were secure. Instead of killing Temüjin and ending the threat once and for all, they kept him locked up under guard. One night, the guards who watched Temüjin drank too much and became unconscious. Seizing the opportunity, Temüjin fled the camp. Temüjin's escape marked a turning point in his life. No longer a boy, he was now determined to reclaim his rightful place and avenge the wrongs done to his family. He sought refuge with his mother and brothers, who welcomed him back with open arms. From this moment, Temüjin's journey to becoming Genghis Khan began in earnest. Temüjin's first task was to reunite with his betrothed, Borte. Despite the dangers, he returned to her family's camp. Borte, who was also grown, was happy to see his betrothed, and the two were now married. As a wedding gift, Borte's father presented Temüjin with a cloak made of black sable, the most precious fur made in the Mongolian steppe. Instead of donning the fur himself, Temüjin used this opportunity to secure an old bond. He presented this expensive fur to an old friend of his father, Toghrul Khan. This action was a show of respect and loyalty toward his father's former ally, but behind it was a strategic purpose. Toghrul was the chief of a powerful tribe, the Karates, and this rekindling of an old friendship meant that Temüjin now secured himself and his family from outside threats by coming into Toghrul's protection. Being a proud Khan, Toghrul accepted the honor presented by Temüjin and took him under his wing. Ensuring the reliability and protection of his family, Temüjin returned to his camp only to find out that his beloved Borte was kidnapped by the Merkits, the same tribe from which Yesugji had kidnapped Hulilan. It was an act of vengeance as they sought to settle the score of stealing a woman of their tribe. Temüjin sought Toghrul's help, and the proud leader felt honored to help his new son. He pledged 20,000 men to help Temüjin in his cause. Temüjin also enlisted the help of his childhood friend and blood brother Jamukha, who was a leader of his own clan. Jamukha promised to come to the fight with 20,000 of his men. With this powerful army, Temüjin attacked and scattered the Merkits and rescued Borte, only to find out she was pregnant by another man's child, but Temüjin decided to do the honorable deed and accepted and raised the child as his own. The battle with the Merkits helped Temüjin establish himself as an emerging leader. With powerful allies, he started to raise an army of his own. He also started growing close with his friend and blood brother Jamukha. Jamukha was a proud leader of noble birth, and like all powerful men, he liked to stay on top of the power ladder. He believed that power should stay among the powerful, and that only noblemen deserved power, respect, and title, whereas Temüjin believed that any man who proved himself worthy can ascend the ranks of power and authority. As it is in this world, two swords cannot live in a single sheath, and when two strong men stayed together, rifts started to begin. Jamukha saw Temüjin as an upstart and looked down upon him. However, Temüjin, who had already witnessed the cruelties of the world, wasn't ready to leave power for the pleasure of another man. So when Jamukha suggested that Temüjin leave camp with his family and take the sheep to live near the edge of the steppe, leaving horses and army for him in the mountains, Temüjin took it as an offense. You see, horses were considered a symbol of power and nobility in the steppe, while sheep herders were merely weak shepherds. By suggesting this, Jamukha was trying to assert his dominance and superiority over Temüjin, but Temüjin, who had not accepted his own brother's dominance at the mere age of 8, would not bow down now when he had already established himself as a warrior on the steppe. So Temüjin with his family and his clan left the camp. Now this marked the start of the great Mongolian empire that Genghis Khan would establish. Soon after, many people from Jamukha's camp followed Temüjin. Temüjin offered them something no one had done before: the prospect of advancement. There was a clear choice before them: either stay with Jamukha and forever be servants, or showcase their skill and advance their ranks. Soon after, Temüjin called a Kurultai, a council of Mongol chieftains, where he was proclaimed Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. This marked the official beginning of his reign over the Mongol Empire. Genghis Khan then set his sights on expanding his empire beyond the steppes. Jamukha was furious by this betrayal and started planning to take revenge. A year after the Kurultai, two men of Genghis Khan and Jamukha's tribe fought during a cattle raid, and Genghis Khan's man killed Jamukha's man. Using this as an excuse, Jamukha attacked Genghis Khan's camp, capturing many tribesmen and killing many by beheading and boiling several alive. This resulted in more people witnessing Jamukha's sick treatment of low-born tribesmen, and so, more people started joining Genghis Khan, believing he could provide them with protection and reward them for their loyalty. The fight between the two former friends turned mortal enemies would continue for over 2 decades. Bearing his enemy in mind, Genghis Khan continued fighting many rival tribes, winning these battles and expanding his territories. During his leadership, Genghis Khan made many changes to the traditional lifestyle of the Mongolian tribes. Previously, higher ranks of leadership were only given to people of noble birth, and certain tasks were assigned based on the lineage of one's family, meaning if a family has worked as a cook in the tribe, only those in the family could continue this profession. Genghis Khan changed this by appointing higher ranks to loyal and skilled people in the tribe. To break the familial structure of loyalties, which could result in riots and killing among his clan, he divided people into groups based on their skills and allowed them to choose their leader. Each person in a group had different responsibilities, such as doctors, cooks, guards, and musicians. This ensured that the tribe focused on winning together instead of fighting among each other over the superiority of their lineage. Another step taken by Genghis Khan was to distribute the spoils of war equally among his warriors instead of hoarding them all for himself. This was another step to ensure loyalty. Now begins the tale of the tales of Genghis Khan's victories that made him the greatest warrior and leader in the world. It is believed that he conquered more lands in his 25 years of rule than the Romans did in their 400 years. 8 years after his defeat from Jamukha, Genghis, along with his mentor Toral, faced Jamukha in battle again. This time he soundly defeated his enemy, forcing him to flee from the battlefield. Meanwhile, Genghis Khan's victories were on the rise. As he conquered more lands, he would kill every last man in his rival tribe, while taking women and children as slaves who would live and serve among his tribe. He would not spare even a single man or adult boy, else they would come back for revenge. This created fear in enemies, and many tribes yielded before even fighting. As Genghis Khan was becoming a powerful leader, he was becoming a threat to all other tribal leaders on the steppes. Mongol, who had backed him on several occasions, had started to see his way of leadership as a threat. If a servant and a leader could be equal, what would nobles do? Jamukha had also convinced Toral to take action against Genghis, and together they planned a coup against him, but as Genghis had a larger and more loyal army, he easily defeated both of his enemies. Toral was killed in this battle, but Jamukha escaped and took shelter with another rival clan, the Nemans. Finally, the battle between two old friends began, and now Genghis Khan's military mind gave him a swift victory. He changed his attack tactics continuously, first sending groups of 10 repeatedly to attack from different directions and scatter, and then legions of archers who would shoot arrows and melt backward behind the new line of troops. This instilled fear and confusion in the enemy. Jamukha was soon captured and granted death. Now, Temüjin became the only great Khan on the steppes, with his domain stretching from the Gobi Desert in the south to the Arctic tundra in the north, from the Altai Mountains in the west to the Manchurian forest in the east. He entitled his clan the Great Mongolian Nation. By implementing laws such as demolishing aristocratic titles and criminalizing the killing or enslavement of Mongolians, he ensured the unity of his people even further. Now his gaze turned toward lands further beyond the steppes. He started raiding the Tangut Empire, the Chinese imperial Jie dynasty that was a key point and a gateway into China. He laid siege to the city and attempted to flood it. Genghis Khan learned new methods of siege and warfare with each new battle, and would change and apply those tactics to win more lands. He conquered more and more lands with each advancement. While conquering cities, Genghis Khan killed almost 40 million people, which was one of the greatest massacres in history. It is said that he killed so many people in his time that he effectively reduced global warming by eliminating 700 million tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. He did not only kill his enemies, he laid siege to cities and designed psychological warfare against the inhabitants to spread fear. Before launching an attack, he would send spies and scouts to gather intelligence and spread fear. These operatives would report back with detailed information about enemy defenses and simultaneously spread rumors about the Mongols' invincibility and ruthless tactics. The Mongols treated defectors and prisoners with extreme brutality if they resisted or betrayed them. They often executed captured soldiers and commanders in gruesome ways, such as boiling them alive or pouring molten silver into their eyes and ears. Once, during the siege of Nishapur, he ordered his troops to light multiple campfires and create as much noise as possible to give the impression of a larger force. This tactic terrified his enemies, making them believe they were facing an overwhelmingly superior force. After several attempts, he finally conquered the city and killed every last man, woman, and child, and had his men build tall pyramids of dead bodies as a warning that whoever resists him will suffer the same fate. During his military campaigns, he would divide the citizens into two: the educated, who were doctors, astronomers, and teachers; engineers, artisans, religious leaders; and the nobles and the wealthy. He would grant immunity to the educated in return for them to teach their crafts to his people, while he publicly executed the wealthy and noblemen. The Mongols learned written language, weaponry, and arts from their captives from different dynasties. After conquering the Jie dynasty, he now turned his gaze towards the Jin dynasty. It proved especially difficult to mount this city, so Genghis's generals suggested attacking everything around it, and so they burned every village surrounding the city, taking hostages and causing the survivors to flee towards the city, which caused chaos inside the city. They then force-captured civilians to march ahead of their troops as human shields. This tactic not only protected the Mongol soldiers, but also demoralized the defenders, who were often reluctant to kill their own people. Genghis Khan had managed to capture some skilled engineers in his conquests, and had them build catapults to launch large boulders on the city walls. While he was abroad trying to win the Jin dynasty, the lands towards the west of the Mongolian steppes were conquered by the son of the Namar leader Kuchlug, who Genghis had previously decimated in battle. Kuchlug had acquired a large empire of Kara-Kitai and began persecuting the Muslims there. As Kuchlug tried to expand his territory, he made a terrible mistake. He attacked a vassal of the Mongolian Empire, Al-Malik, and killed the grandson-in-law of Genghis Khan. This turned out to be fatal for him, as Genghis Khan sent 20,000 men to hunt down Kuchlan. But Kuchlan was confident as he had more army, yet he was wrong. He was soundly defeated and killed by Genghis's armies. The Muslim Uyghurs of Kara-Kitai were relieved after being liberated from Kuchlug and accepted the rule of Genghis Khan. This allowed him to acquire a very important asset, the Silk Road, which was an important road of trade from Asia to the Middle East. This resulted in Genghis Khan and his tribe becoming vastly rich, as silk and other precious trade items would cross from his land. He had acquired the largest empire connected by land in his time, that included China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. Silk Road also went past the Khwarazmian Empire, and so, to build friendship, he sent envoys with 500 merchants and caravans carrying silk, steel, silver, and other valuables to establish friendship and trade routes between the two empires. However, when the merchants arrived in the city of Otra, a local governor murdered all the merchants and took the riches. When Genghis sent a diplomatic envoy to the Shah to answer the crimes of his governor, the Shah of the Khwarazmian Empire killed those envoys. Now, Genghis launched a full-on military attack against the Khwarazmian Empire. He divided his army into 5 groups that would operate independently with one goal in mind: kill every one of the people who resisted them. So they killed 15 million people and finally conquered another dynasty. After capturing the governor of Otrar, Genghis granted him death by pouring melted silver into his mouth, eyes, and ears. With another remarkable victory under his belt, he headed back into his empire where, Now an old man, above 60 years old, he finally succumbed to his death. Exactly what it was that killed him remains a bit of a mystery. Yet some say he succumbed to a wound acquired during battle, while others say he died of a disease or an infection. However, we cannot say for sure. What we can say is that under his rule, the world saw the emergence of a leader and a warrior who started from nothing and has 1/3 of Asia under his thumb. The world saw the emergence of an empire of people who attacked as one, acted as one, and conquered as one. After his death, his sons and grandsons would keep on attacking and conquering more lands for over a century. At its peak, the Mongolian Empire covered more than 9 million square miles, the largest land-connected empire in its time. Temüjin Khan, the frail child who was scared of dogs, went on to found one of the largest empires in the world. He encouraged international trade, encouraged freedom of religion, promoted the preservation of knowledge and skills, and encouraged a meritocracy system based on talent, becoming one of the most influential leaders in the world.